before we get into it, I need you to lock in, because this message ain't for everybody. It's for the ones who say they want more out of life, the ones tired of talking, tired of pretending, tired of explaining themselves to people who don't even believe in them. See, there comes a point where you got to stop trying to convince the world who you are and become it. The loudest person in the room is rarely the one making moves. Talking feels good in the moment, but results speak a language nobody can argue with. So today we're talking about shutting your mouth, staying committed, and letting your work do all the talking. Everybody has a dream they talk about. Everybody has that one day I'm gonna speech ready to go at any moment. You'll hear people say they're about to start a business, about to get in shape, about to drop a project, about to change their life. But here's the truth that separates the ones who actually break through from the ones who stay stuck in the same place year after year. Talking about it doesn't build it. Speaking on your plans might feel good. It might make you look motivated for a moment, but it doesn't move the needle forward 1 inch. Action is what builds. Work is what creates. Execution is what turns dreams into something you can touch, measure, or stand on. When you talk too much about your plans, you trick yourself. There's real science behind that. A study out of NYU found that when you speak publicly about your goals, the brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that hits when you actually complete a goal. So you feel like you accomplished something just by talking about it. That means a lot of people are getting high off conversation, not off achievement. They're feeding off the reaction, the "that's dope, bro," the "you got this, sis," the retweets, the comments, the temporary validation that comes from sounding like you're on the path instead of actually being on the path. And once you've already felt that satisfaction, your hunger to grind decreases. The urgency that should push you into action gets replaced by a feeling of "I'm already doing it" when you haven't even begun. If you really pause and look around your circle, you'll see this everywhere. You know someone who's been about to launch for years. They posted the pre-announcement, the teaser, the big things coming soon in their bio. They told everyone to watch, but if you go back 12 months later, nothing changed. No progress, no product, no results. Why? Because they spent more energy on looking like they were grinding than actually grinding. They wasted more breath than sweat. Their dream lived in conversation, not in motion. You can't build a house with a blueprint you only talk about. You gotta pick up the bricks and lay them down, one silent brick at a time, even when nobody is clapping. Execution is quiet. Progress is quiet. Success is built behind closed doors long before people see it. The world sees the launch, the results, the achievement, but the real work, the hours of learning, practicing, failing, adjusting, happens in silence. Real builders don't need an audience to begin. They don't wait for applause to start taking steps. They don't need to convince anyone that they're serious because the work proves it on its own. Think about anyone who truly changed their life. It wasn't the announcement that transformed them. It was the nights they didn't sleep because they were studying new skills. It was waking up early when no one was checking for them. It was sacrificing comfort while others partied. It was declining the need to impress people for the long-term reward of actually becoming who they pictured themselves to be. Their actions compounded. Small steps done daily, quietly, turned into a different reality. The problem today where people want credit before the accomplishment. They want praise before the product. They want the status of the grind, not the grind itself. But the truth is, when you're fully locked into your purpose, you don't even have the time or desire to talk about it every day. You're too busy doing the work. You're too focused on execution to be worried about presentation. Your results become the statement. And let's be real, a lot of talking comes from insecurity. People talk because they're hoping someone will validate their dream so they can feel good enough to chase it. But that's backwards. You don't need a cheerleader to start, you need discipline. You need belief that doesn't rely on public support. Many of the greatest moves people made were done in silence because they understood how fragile early stages are. When a dream is brand new, it's like a flame in the wind. Too much exposure and it blows out. Protecting that flame means fueling it with consistent action, not with words that invite opinions, doubts, or negativity. Instead of looking for external validation, talk to yourself less and prove to yourself more. Replace "I'm gonna" with "I'm doing." Replace "I hope" with "I'm building." Replace "watch me" with "you'll see." There's a different level of power when the work speaks for you. People respect results because results can't be faked. You can fake the appearance of motivation, you can fake the grind online, but you can't fake outcome. The people who are really moving in life know something most folks don't. Momentum grows in silence. When nobody knows what you're doing, there's no pressure, no expectation, no eyes waiting for you to slip. You get to build at your own pace, learn without judgment, stumble without scrutiny, and rise without resistance. And then one day, when you show up with something completed, something polished, something real, people can't deny it. They can doubt your words, but they cannot doubt evidence. If you think back on chapters of your life where you actually leveled up, you'll realize the shift didn't happen during the talking phase. It happened the moment you stopped explaining your plans and started taking steps. Maybe it was when you finally applied for that course, when you stopped telling everyone you were going to get fit and actually hit the gym consistently, when you stopped telling people you were going to save money and actually made a budget and stuck to it. Progress didn't come from intention. It came from execution. Every dream demands payment, not in words, but in effort, discipline, sacrifice, consistency, and time. You can talk all day and still owe the fee. The price must be paid in full through action. Words don't get you in the rooms you want to be in. Work does. Words don't build your reputation, patterns do. Words don't secure respect, results do. So if you want to separate yourself from the crowd, start by talking less and doing more. Put your head down for 6 months and watch how different your life looks. Go ghost for a year and focus on execution, and people won't even recognize you when you return. Move in silence, not because it's trendy, but because it's effective. Because the less you talk, the more energy you have to build. Because when the work is real, you don't need to announce it. The world will feel it. And when you finally show your results, when you finally reveal what you built brick by brick, step by step, silently, those same people who doubted you, ignored you, or never took you seriously will have no choice but to respect what you've become. Not because you told them, but because you showed them. Not everybody is meant to see the early stages of your dream. We live in a time where people feel pressure to broadcast every move, every idea, every plan, the moment it pops into their mind. But the truth is, the more you expose your vision before it's ready, the more vulnerable it becomes. Not everyone will root for you. Some people don't want to see you rise because your elevation reminds them of their own stagnation. When you start climbing, it forces others to confront why they stayed where they are, and not everybody is built with the humility to clap for growth they didn't choose for themselves. That's why silence isn't secrecy out of fear, it's protection out of wisdom. There's a certain power in keeping your vision to yourself until it grows stronger. When you speak too early, you open the door for doubt, negativity, and opinions that can weaken your belief before it fully forms. Words from the wrong mouths can plant seeds of insecurity in your soil. Someone drops one comment like, "Are you sure that's going to work?" Or, "People don't make money doing that," and suddenly your plan doesn't feel as solid. You start questioning whether you're capable, whether it's realistic, whether you're dreaming too big. But those doubts didn't come from your own heart. They came from exposing something that wasn't ready for the world yet. Think about a seed. Before it becomes a tree, before it bears fruit, before it gives shade or beauty, it spends time underground, in darkness, unseen, unannounced. If you dig up a seed while it's developing because you want to show progress, you kill it. Your ideas need that same protected space. They need time to develop roots, knowledge, confidence, discipline, skill, and the mindset to sustain the dream once it becomes visible. Growth happens beneath the surface long before the world ever sees a result. So many people want the applause without first surviving the soil stage. But without that underground growth, the first storm will take you out. Your vision needs privacy to breathe and take shape without the pressure of outside expectations. When something is fragile and new, it needs nurturing, attention, and patience. Sharing it too early means you're letting people into a room you haven't finished building yet. And some folks will come in dirty-footed, tracking doubt, jealousy, fear, and projections all over your clean floors. You end up spending more time cleaning up their energy than constructing your dream. There's a real-life reason why successful companies and innovators don't announce every detail of what they're creating. A lot of startups operate in stealth mode for months or even years, not because they're scared someone will steal their idea, because early feedback can crush innovation before it matures. If people critique a vision that isn't fully developed, the creators might scrap it too soon or reshape it to please others instead of trusting their original instinct. Many of the greatest inventions and projects were ridiculed at the beginning by people who couldn't see what the visionary saw. If the creators had listened, the world would have missed out. You are no different. Your dream deserves the chance to grow into something undeniable before the world gets a vote. Protect your vision until it's strong enough to stand on its own 2 feet. Silence gives you space to grow without interference. It gives you room to fail in private, adjust in private, learn in private, and come back better without everyone watching, judging, or commenting. A lot of the time, people speak about their goals too soon because they want validation. They want someone to tell them they're capable, that the dream makes sense, that they're on the right track. But if you need applause to start, you'll collapse the moment the applause stops. Validation from others is borrowed confidence. Real confidence is built through preparation and effort when no one is clapping. Your dream becomes stronger when you water it with discipline instead of compliments. When you're building something meaningful, you'll notice the universe starts sending small confirmations directly to you. Opportunities, resources, connections, ideas, growth. But those cues are meant for you, not for your whole contact list. Some blessings aren't meant to be posted. Some progress isn't meant to be shared, not yet. Not until the fruit is visible on the tree. Silence isn't about being antisocial or acting mysterious for effect. It's about being intentional with your energy. It's about surrounding your vision with people who feed it, not drain it. Be careful who you share it with. Some people will only listen to respond, not to understand. Some will only support once the world agrees you're worth supporting. Some will pretend to cheer for you while secretly hoping you trip, because your success threatens the excuses that keep them comfortable. You don't need the world to believe in your dream for it to work. You need you to believe in enough to protect it. Let your silence be your shield. Let your focus be your filter. Let your actions be your announcement when the time is right. Think back to the moments in your life when you made the most growth. Chances are, it wasn't when you were talking about change. It was when you disappeared for a while, got focused, and came back transformed. You might have distanced yourself from certain people, certain habits, certain environments. You might have stopped sharing your every move because you needed to reset and rebuild. And when you returned, people said you've changed, or what happened to you. They didn't see the process, but they couldn't deny the results. That's the power of private evolution. There's also an emotional piece that comes from moving in silence. You eliminate outside noise, pressure, and comparison. When no one knows what you're working on, you don't feel rushed, you don't feel watched, you don't feel judged. You're free to move at your pace, experiment, refine, and create from a place of authenticity, not performance. You're operating from purpose, not from the need to impress. And when you do eventually share your vision, when the seed becomes a sprout and then a plant and then a tree, your growth will speak louder because nobody saw it coming. That's when the impact hits harder, not because you stay quiet to surprise people, but because you stay quiet to protect the process that made the result possible. People respect what they can't deny, and a dream built in silence becomes impossible to ignore once it's visible. So keep your vision sacred while it's still fragile. Guard it like something priceless because it is. Share it only with those who truly support your growth, understand your mindset, and add value rather than doubt. Let the world see the final product, not the early draft. Silence doesn't mean you're hiding, it means you're planting. And when you're planting, you don't owe the world a play-by-play. When the fruit shows up, that will be your explanation. That will be your statement. That will be your proof. Everybody wants the moment that changes everything. They want the big break, the viral post, the overnight win, the one opportunity that flips their life from struggle to success. But the truth nobody wants to sit with is that results don't come from a single moment. They come from a collection of moments, thousands of small, unglamorous, repetitive actions that compound over time. Success is built in the quiet hours when nobody is rewarding you, nobody is praising you, nobody is validating you. Consistency is the real flex because anybody can work hard once. The rare ones show up relentlessly long after the excitement fades. People admire success because they see the highlight, the finish line, the trophy moment. What they skip over, the part they don't want to imitate, is the grind it took to get there. They idolize the result, not the repetition. It's easy to clap for someone when they're winning. It's easy to repost their achievements, quote their captions, and attach yourself to the finished product. But the real respect goes to the person who kept going when nobody cared, when nobody listened, when nobody understood the vision but them. Consistency is waking up early when the bed feels warm and your excuses feel convincing. It's choosing discipline over comfort, even when you're tired of trying. It's working on your goals after a long day when your body says stop, but your future says keep pushing. It's training in the dark so that one day when the lights hit, the performance looks effortless. People think the ones who made it must have had some magic advantage, some lucky break, or some moment of fate, but most of them were just consistent long after everyone else quit. Look at any great athlete. Before the medals, before the endorsements, before the record-breaking moment, they were in the gym training when no one was watching. They repeated the same drills thousands of times. They practiced when they were sore, when they were sick, when they had every reason to take a day off. That's why their talent turned into mastery, and that story repeats in every field. Every entrepreneur who built something meaningful didn't do it in a week. They stayed committed through months and years of setbacks. Every creator who found their voice didn't do it with one piece of content. They stayed consistent through their awkward stage, their trial and error stage, their nobody's checking for me stage. Longevity isn't handed out. It's earned in silence. Showing up daily is the ultimate self-respect. You're proving to yourself that your future matters more than your temporary feelings. You're showing that you're committed to becoming someone your younger self will look up to. Consistency is how you build trust with yourself. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. Because you no longer wait for motivation or perfect conditions. You know you'll show up regardless. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. Motivation feels good, but it's unreliable. It's emotional, temporary, influenced by weather, mood, who texted you back, who didn't, how your day went. If you only work when you feel motivated, you'll never build momentum. Discipline is different. Discipline shows up even when motivation overslept. Discipline doesn't negotiate. Discipline doesn't ask if you're in the mood. Discipline honors the promise you made to yourself long after the energy that made the promise has faded. People think consistency means intensity, like you have to go all out every day. That's not it. Real consistency is about not quitting. It's about showing up even if all you can offer today is 60%, but you give that 60% fully. It's better to move slow than to stop completely. It's better to take tiny steps for a year than sprint for a week and burn out. Too many people go hard for a short burst, then disappear for months. When life hits, the winners pace themselves. They find a rhythm. They don't sprint, they build endurance. Consistency also requires patience. That's another reason most people fall off. We're living in a culture addicted to instant gratification. Everyone wants fast results and immediate payoff. If they don't see dramatic progress in 2 weeks, they give up and call the dream unrealistic. But growth compounds quietly at first. The first week, nothing seems different. The first month, change is barely noticeable. But stay disciplined for 6 months. A year, 2 years, and the transformation becomes something people can't ignore. You become the proof that sticking with something long enough turns impossible into normal. Think about someone who went to the gym consistently for 2 years compared to someone who worked out intensely for 2 months and quit. The consistent one, even with smaller daily effort, ends up with better results, not because they were stronger, but because they never stopped. In business, the person who posted valuable content for a year with no audience eventually breaks through. The person who posted for 2 weeks and gave up left their success on the table. Consistency always wins the long game. And one of the hardest parts of consistency is showing up when life hits you. It's easy to stick to your routine when things are smooth, when energy is high, when the path is clear. But real growth happens on the days you push through pain, heartbreak, doubt, setbacks, and stress. Those days shape you. Every time you choose discipline in a moment of adversity, you strengthen your character, you build resilience. And resilience is what separates temporary effort from sustainable success. You'll lose people on your journey because most people don't want to commit to anything long term. They'll call you obsessed, too focused, too serious. They'll try to pull you back into comfort and distraction. But consistency requires prioritizing your future over their opinions. You can't grow in a crowd that has no plans for growth. Eventually, your routine will look like isolation to those who fear commitment. But the solitude that consistency demands is the same solitude that excellence is born through. The most consistent people aren't the loudest. They don't announce their grind every day. They don't need to prove anything through words. Their life shows the work. Their results speak for them. When people finally notice them winning, they'll call it talent, luck, timing, anything except consistency, because consistency forces them to face the fact that they could have done it too if they hadn't quit. If you internalize one thing, let it be this: your future is shaped by what you do repeatedly, not what you do occasionally. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to move fast. You just need to keep moving. Even small effort applied daily compounds into extraordinary change. And the most valuable thing consistency builds isn't success, it's identity. You become someone who can rely on themselves, someone who can overcome resistance, someone who finishes what they start. Consistency is the real flex, because staying committed when nobody applauds takes strength most people don't have. Anyone can show up on day one. The ones who win show up on days 50, 200, 700, when it's boring, when it's repetitive,